and welcome to Minute with a Member, brought to you by the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Shahira Jarrett Gallen, the founder and president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to another episode. You know, we are always pleased to bring you local entrepreneurs that get to tell you their story of how they came to start their business, why they wanted to be an entrepreneur in the first place, because we want you to be inspired, learn a few lessons along the way, and, share with the next generation. So I'm extremely happy to welcome our next guest because he's not in a profession that a lot of people think of when they think of Black business. So let's welcome to the show, Mr. Brad Fifer. Welcome, Brad.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been hot, but we've been making it work. So yeah, doing well.
Okay, okay. Well, that's just another South Florida day, huh?
Well,
Uh, well, we're gonna get right into it. Um, your company is called the Mole Test Company. So let's start
correct.
with what you actually do. What does that mean? The Mole Test Company. What is your company?
Well, so the Test Company, we are a indoor quality assessors. So we check for after water damage or any type of humidity issues in the property or any in a home or business. So we just make sure that the indoor quality is up to par. So we run tests to see where the baselines are, and we're able to provide an analysis after the fact.
Okay. So when do customers or clients typically come looking for you, in your company?
Well, usually after some type of water event, whether it's some type of plumbing issue or AC issue, where they're experiencing some type of whether it's an allergic reaction or even some type of health concerns sometimes. In more serious cases, people can become sick from exposures to different types of mold. So usually they smell something or they see something. And then they're like, hey, what's going on? We really don't know what's happening in the property. We had a leak or we had some AC issues. And usually that's when they call us in.
No, that makes sense. Because yeah, if you're smelling or seeing something, now you know something is awry. So we're gonna rewind a little bit. We found out a little bit about what you do now, but how did you
Mhm.
get into this line of work, Brad? I don't think kids growing up saying, "Hey, I wanna own a mold testing company or a
Exactly.
company trying to find mold." How did
Yeah.
you get into this exactly?
It kind of just one thing led into another from my background. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I moved down to South Florida back in 2012. I've always been in the insurance industry in some shape, form, or fashion. So when I got here, I got into the property and casualty line of insurance, which led me to homeowners insurance. So I was doing underwriting with homeowners insurance and learning that aspect. And a big part of the job was to take inspectors' work, for to evaluate to make sure that these properties would meet, insurance standards or their preference. So just got into that and started looking into different ways to move up with this particular company I had, and they had an inspection department. So I just said, okay, I want to do something different. To get this new position with this company, you have to be licensed. So went out and got licensed to start doing actual home inspections. So I started as a home inspector.
Okay.
So that's truly at the base is what we do. We're inspectors. So got into the home inspecting side of the industry and started doing home inspections actually as like a part-time gig. But I really got into it. I really liked it. So I went ahead and stepped out on my own and started my own firm. Started doing home inspections back in 2017. So
Okay.
2018. So right a little bit before the pandemic started, but at the time of the pandemic, real estate blew up. So we really started moving, getting a lot of inspections. People were buying homes, selling up the um, interest rates were like at a historic low, so
Right.
everyone was just moving properties. So it was a great time for us, and just really ramped things up. But some of the things that we were doing, as offering some of the services as a home inspector, you're allowed to, like when you see something or smell something, you can say, "Hey, there's a possibility of mold here." Um, but we were a little bit captive on what we can say and do as
Hmm.
licensed home inspectors. So, not wanting to leave anything on the table, we became licensed to do actual mold assessing as well. So
Good.
now we're able to do it all. We can, if we see something or smell something, we can actually test it, send it to a lab, and write what's called a protocol at this point.
Okay.
So now, what a protocol is basically just the prescription of how to get rid of the mold. So there's so many different types of mold in the air, so many different types of spores in the air.
True.
So there's different techniques on how to remedy those things. So um, that's how we moved into that mold portion. So to be able to offer standalone services, we were able to just branch off to two different companies. So we have the mold test company, and we also have our inspection company.
I love that. So that's like
Yeah.
I mean, but you really gave us a condensed version of that career. I mean,
Yes, we
you
just
were
kind of
in
just
insurance, right? So how long were you in the insurance industry? Like proper when you
man.
first started before you kind of got
Oh
into.
man, before I got like it actually all started back with life insurance back when I was in Memphis,
Wow.
actually in Tennessee. So this was over 20 years ago. So my son is
Okay.
26, no, 27 now. So over 25 years ago, I
Wow.
got into like some form of insurance, and
Uh-huh.
it's just kind of just branched into a different. Started with life insurance, annuities, and property, and from car insurance to home insurance to mold to even flying drones. So we do drones. Anything that has to do with inspecting a building, we try to
Okay.
dibble into that. Yeah, yeah,
I love that, but I just think it's important for the audience to see because a lot of folks will have a background in something very specific, but with you, it seems like you were kind of always curious,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
understanding what it would naturally lead to and
Hmm.
following that lead to say, okay,
Yeah.
well, what else can I do? What else can I learn? Can you talk a little bit about that? Staying curious along the way and in the process.
Yes, definitely. So even with landing with mold, or even starting with the underwriting portion of it,
Mm.
um, they utilize inspectors for so many different things, not just for underwriting purposes, but for claims as well. So I knew that there's a need for the services that we could provide, and I
Mhm.
knew who needed those services. And having that background allowed me to keep some um, relationships that I built prior to. So it kind of just naturally progressed. So it was just getting the word out to say, hey, I now do this, and we also do this. And being able to put those things together just allowed me to kind of build upon um, what the past had taught me, and just showed that if you just put it all together and just really being curious of what the next steps could be
Yeah.
if we implemented or added this service. And I'm always looking to add something. My next thing would be a service. It's called a blower door test. It's basically for new construction when people are buying a home or building properties. They have
Okay.
to certify the property is airtight. So with that airtightness goes along with mold, water, air
Hmm.
infiltration. So it all kind of goes together with the inspection portion of the property. So it's just another level of inspections.
I
So.
love that, Brad. So by the time you're finished, you're gonna have like 26 different but the point is though, but we may laugh, but to make the first point, that staying curious, the thing is you started in one place, but as you
Hmm.
learned about other things, you weren't afraid to navigate with that.
Yeah.
And then obviously at some point you said, okay, I'm going to go out on my own. You were courageous enough to go out on your own, but at the same time hold on to those relationships because you learned, hey, these are the folks that need my services. These are the types of services they need. So you kind of had that
Hmm.
insight instead of being
Correct.
on the outside trying to guess, which I think is critical and I want folks to walk away with. So you kind of had that insight before you kind of went out on your own, but then making sure you still kept, those relationships because
Hmm.
you worked in that industry. So you knew, okay, well, there are going to be, besides customers that may call us, there are other relationships that I can have
Hmm.
so we can get some repeat business, which is very
Hmm.
smart because, you want that
Correct.
large customer pool.
Right. With most of my services, they are um, either mandated by insurance or the state. Uh,
Good. I love
so
that.
it's not like oh this they why would I do this? Most people are they have to do it, so they have to find
Mhm.
someone. So
Yeah.
why not be me?
And that's a good business model.
Right. It's they're buying it. You can buy it from me. I have it.
Yeah.
So so they, when it comes to homeowners, they have to get these services for wind mitigations and 4 points for inspections.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we work with roofers, other tradesmen. They utilize our services. So it's just being able to put yourself in a community of
Very good.
needed services. So I just try to create a sphere of services that I know different industries will need, and we'll market to those industries. When it comes to mold, we market to a lot of mold remediation companies,
Mhm.
people who they do the basically. We write out, like I said, that protocol, that prescription on how to get rid of the mold, and they're able to take that protocol, follow it, and perform their services
Right.
based off of the things that we provide. So now they kind of need us, or they prefer us to write out their protocol because it takes the liability up from them
Okay.
actually,
Hmm.
because they say, hey, well, the mold company told us to carry all of this
Right,
to do
right,
all these things. They're like, hey, what happened to my wall? Why is my wall missing? This
right.
is the protocol was written for, it required for that to happen.
Very good.
So this way they're able to just follow those protocols. We can market to them. If there's a public adjuster who's working with a homeowner for a water loss claim, or even just an insurance company who they have clients who say, hey, we need some to confirm what's going on in this property. Are you able to go out? So these are the type of people who utilize the mold test company.
No, I love that. Once again, it's the growth, and then you realizing you kind of set yourself up in an industry where, government has some regulations and mandates. So
Hmm.
now it's kind of like, I know you're coming. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of who you're going to utilize.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
now I just have to be strategic
Yeah.
about, how you market and who you touch and the relationships you build. And I
Correct.
love that you mentioned, you building that community around you of folks that will utilize your services because obviously it can be symbiotic. They're sending you folks and you can send them as well.
Correct.
I want you to just talk a little bit about that because oftentimes, folks will start a company
Hmm.
and they don't understand that getting outside the company is important too because you want folks to be able to refer, you business. But it also has to be strategic in who you're actually targeting and
Hmm.
who you're networking with. So talk a
Correct.
little bit about your thought process or your strategy around that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer in referring back
Right.
and forth.
Good.
That reciprocal relationship
Yeah.
where when it comes to inspections for real estate, I target, or I really just like to surround myself with realtors, bankers, lenders, and whenever I'm out and about, I can refer those people back to those same lenders. So people are buying homes, selling homes. Families are growing. Families are shrinking. So you want to be able to not just be the person that can provide a service, but to also just say, hey, I know a guy. I
Right.
love being that person as well. My phone rings just as much to say, "Hey, Brad, do you know anyone?"
Very
versus
good.
just, "Hey, Brad, what is, can you come out?" So when it comes to just finding those uh, rhythmic type of relationships that can bounce back and forth, it's really been my bread and butter for
Good.
everything. So like with a big one was roofers. When it was with the home inspection,
Mhm.
they would homeowners would have to get a roof done for usually insurance. So or
Yeah.
to get insurance, the insurance will dictate or mandate, hey, your roof is this age, we need a new roof. Most people don't buy a roof just because they're fashionable. They buy
Right.
it because they have to. So now that you have to buy a roof, you know, you can get something, the insurance company will give you a discount for having this new roof, but
Mm.
only if it's certified by an inspector. So the roofers were a great
Very
relationship.
good.
So they do the roof, they send us out. We do the wind mitigation, gives to the homeowner. And a lot of times the roofers would actually just pay us directly as a service
Okay.
to allow them to stand out from other roofers. So yes, you're going to pay for the roof, but we're going to provide you with something that you can give to your insurance company that you can now benefit from this new roof. So the roofers come out, shining like a champ, offering this free service.
Right.
So that was a great one for me. And now with the Motex company, we
Mhm.
work a lot with remediation companies and insurance adjusters.
Okay.
Um, they have a unique um, job to do to help the homeowners when it comes to claims processes. But when it comes to the insurance to pay out a claim, you really have to have your documentation together.
Mm.
So, in order for the insurance to pay out, they like to utilize a company that's going to be very detailed in
Yeah.
their protocol and what they're writing up, and can really show proof of the claim. So, with me having that background
Right.
in underwriting, I know exactly how to write things up to really show the insurance company what they're looking for to justify an actual payout. So we have a great relationship with adjusters and
Nice.
remediation companies, especially when it comes to claims. So,
Very good. And I love that. And folks listening to this should also understand you really know who you need to interact with. And so you have targets. You're not just out there kind of shooting blanks. I love that. I also love the fact that you said your phone rings just as much for you to be a resource, right?
mhm,
Brad's the guy.
yeah,
That for you to be a resource as much as you get calls to come out, which I think is important, which just shows that in more than one way, you're staying in the top of mind of people, which
hmm,
bodes well for your business as well. So I
correct.
love that. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, Brad. I'm curious. So, because who you are today, I often says, I also often say is kind of dictated by, a little bit about how you grew up, right? So we want to kind of delve into that before we get into the entrepreneurship part. And did you always think you were going to be an entrepreneur? But tell us a little bit about, how you grew up in Memphis. Who were you as a child? Were you
Yeah.
curious? Were you?
I was the only child, and
Oh,
and no brothers and sisters in the immediate home, but I had a large family. Well, I
okay.
have a large family, a lot of cousins,
Nice.
aunts and uncles. So, but yes, I always knew I wanted to be
Oh,
a boss. I was not the um, at I would say I was a very entrepreneur as a young kid.
okay.
So even at 8, 9 years old, my first hustle was I would go to the barbershop and sweep hair as a young man to get free haircuts every because I want
Okay.
so I always knew how to um there was a way if my mom she was a single mom, so she didn't really like, oh, but I wanted my haircut every week though. So in order to do that, I had to make sure I had to pay for it myself.
Right.
And just to make sure I was, being on the up and up and not doing anything I shouldn't be doing, the barber would allow me to come in and sweep
Oh,
hair, and I would get my free haircut every week. But I was like a little old man listening to the all because the barbershop was the Black Man's Country Club. So
Exactly.
I so we would get everybody, as a young person, I was just soaking up everything from what came into the barbershop. I would spend
Very nice.
hours there after
Wow.
school. I would go to the barbershop and just hang out. I thought I was going to be a barber, to be honest,
Okay.
because I was really intrigued by the barber. His name was Chris at the time. He was just able to know so many people. He was well
Hmm.
versed in so many different things. He taught me how to play chess, just a lot. Just he was always
Love that.
um, just a great mentor at an early age.
Yes.
So, but even like I said, I had a lot of family members. Even my grandfather was entrepreneur. He had a
Um,
business. So most of my cousins right now have either businesses or some type of initials behind their name of CEO,
okay.
manager, supervisor of some sort. So, like they say, got to be in you, not on you. And I think it's always been in me. So
Oh,
it's just
I
always
love
been in me.
that. Well,
So
look, it
even,
shows you had the initiative to
yeah,
think, hey, my mom's not gonna, pay for me to get my hair cut. So
no,
what can
no,
I do to take that initiative
yeah,
at such a young
hmm
age is
yeah.
huge.
And I did that up until I know I was probably 15, and I was
Okay.
able to doctor my birth certificate to get my first little job at 15. You had to be 16 to work,
Oh,
but I started at 15 because I wanted I wanted to get
you're
it
like, I want to work.
now. Yeah, I want to work now. I want it now.
Mhm.
So I was able to. I did that, and I was just always into um, and just being, like I said, being curious and just wanted something a little bit more. I've always been a reacher, for
Okay.
I've always been a reacher. Like even now, when, when I first moved here, I was like, I'm going to make it. It really doesn't matter. I really came here. I didn't have a job. I
Okay.
didn't have, I didn't have, I stayed at a hotel for 30 days, but I knew I had a few little connections that I
Uh-huh.
knew I could make something happen. I said, if I don't make it happen in 30 days, fine. So within 30 days, I
Okay.
had a job, a car, and a place within the first 30 days.
Go Brad.
But I only came here with cash and clothes. That was it. And I was a single father at the time. I had
Wow.
custody of my child. I won custody of my son when he was 3. He's 28 now.
Oh,
So
wow.
so when he
You
was
don't look like you
3,
have
he
a
was
28-year-old. Let me interrupt.
I
You don't look
know.
like you got a
No,
28.
I
I'm just
know. I know.
saying.
Yeah, he's 28. He's
Wow.
but so when I came here, I asked my mom. She was living at the time. I said, "Look, just give me 30 days, and I'll be
Okay.
back to get him. Give me 30 days, I'll be
Oh,
back." And here we go. Here we are. And we made it work. In 30 days, I went got him, brought him back. He graduated from Northeast High School.
oh my
He's
God.
actually back in Memphis now, but we came down and he did his thing here. So we
Nice.
got a good story to tell, So we worked out.
I love
So
that. 30 days.
yeah,
So you had to have a really like go get it and
every
hungry
day,
and I'm
every
gonna
day,
do it kind of
every day.
mentality.
It
Wow.
was feast or famine. So it was. I said, give me 30 days. I came down on April 12th,
Mm-hmm.
2012. Like in 2 weeks, I found a little car. Um, did a couple of interviews like the first couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
When I left Memphis, I was working for a drug and alcohol treatment center, and I did their insurance. Basically, I would take patients' insurance. I've always been in some type of insurance.
Yeah,
I
I
would take
see.
the I would take the patient's insurance and
Mhm.
confirm that they would match with the doctor's orders.
Okay.
So if the insurance wouldn't pay for the treatment that the doctor was recommending, we would have to have a meeting with myself, the patient, and the doctor
Right.
to, hey, we may have to redirect your treatment plan due to insurance, what insurance would pay for, or the patient would have to pay out of pocket.
Right.
But when it's like drug and alcohol, they try to not to stress people,
Okay.
because it was strictly for like mental health and drugs and
I
alcohol
see.
treatment.
I
So it
see.
was a really sensitive little topic to talk about when you have to do that. But
Right.
it taught me how to really be around all type of different people
Mm-hmm.
and meet people where they are.
Right.
So that helps a lot too. Being a entrepreneur, you have to be able to read the room
Yeah.
and be able to, meet people where they are in a lot of different situations. But going back when we first when I came here with the 30 days, had some from the drug and alcohol treatment centers. There was a lot of what's called um, assisted living places that we did
Oh, right,
business
right,
with
right.
back in Memphis. So I had some
Mhm.
interviews, a few connections, but I didn't find anything. But I went to go buy car insurance in this small office, and the gentleman there was saying I was telling him my story, and he was saying, "Oh, that's pretty great. You're just getting here. Like I'm actually looking for someone who knows insurance." I'm like, "Well,
Okay.
excuse me, I've never done property insurance, but I know insurance, I know health, I know
Right.
life, I know pretty much any, it's all the same." He was like, "All right, well, look at going to school and let me know." But I bought a policy from this guy when I first got here, and we talked. I couldn't find a job. I looked at the schooling. I was like, "Look, if I pay for this schooling, I might guarantee the job." He was like, "If you pay for this, you go to the school and you get your license, you're guaranteed a job." I did
Okay.
it. I did it. I went. I took the
Wow.
insurance course. I passed the test. I got licensed in Florida, and he hired me. And he hired me.
I
And that's how I
love
got
that.
introduced to. And that's how I got introduced to property and casualty. Now I didn't do that for long because the money wasn't that good, but
Right,
it gave me the license to work in Florida. So now I'm able to go to a larger corporation because
right.
I had this license. So I ended up going to Universal actually, property and
Okay.
casualty right here in Fort Lauderdale,
Nice.
and worked there. Did that for a little bit, but then I moved to another insurance company where I did about 6 years, um, from underwriting claims, customer service, pretty much anything, even training.
Nice.
When I left there, I was one of the supervisors there. So I've always had some type of supervisor role, manager role, even from the time I was probably 18 or 19 years old. So
I
I was
love that.
like, when I first started fast food, I was like the youngest manager in fast food,
Oh,
and I was,
wow. Wow.
so I was always industrious. So I guess you would say. So
No, of course, which comes from really, I mean, well, you had to have seen your mother kind of get out there and do what she had to do for
yeah,
family,
correct.
which I
Hmm.
think can empower a child to say, "Mom's doing it. Let me see how I can do it too." So I'm
Yes,
not, because you see the model, and then you're
yes.
kind of like, "I don't want to put any more on her here. Let me see what I can do." So it kind of forces you to say, "How can I
Hmm.
step up?" Which I love, um,
Yeah.
and I and I love the way you said that you mentioned, because I was going to mention it, but you got to it first before me. How you have to meet people where they are, because that's what it seems like you do.
Hmm.
Because of I just picked up on that because of the community you said that you created of different industries, different professions, different you know uh folks who have different skills, right? The skilled labor,
Hmm.
whether it's carpentry or roofing, whatever, those relationships in all these different industries that you really had to reach out to and create quality relationships with to make
Hmm.
your business flourish. And that just doesn't happen overnight. So I'm glad I asked you about your childhood, because you can kind of see, yeah,
Yeah.
it shines through in who you are
Yeah.
today, which I love. I love that outgoing.
Yeah. It just kind of happens because when I'm in a room, I'm not the one that's just going to stand out or anything like that. But it just grows. I do
Yeah,
believe in building relationships, staying in contact with people, and just when I need something, I don't mind reaching out, giving someone else a chance because I've been given chances myself. So I
I
don't
love it.
mind giving someone else a chance and to see how it goes. And if it goes well, I'm loyal. We're just going to keep this thing
I
rocking
love it.
until something, goes wrong,
Yeah,
and then we can still fix it. There's nothing's unsalvageable. Everything is, you can work through it. So, I believe in that. So again, like I've been given some good opportunities, so I don't mind giving someone else an opportunity, a chance. So I love meeting young electricians, especially someone who's just starting out, young plumbers, AC guys, because when we're doing home inspections, we need someone to make recommendations to our customers when someone's buying a house. So it's not just the mold portion of it. I'm looking out for both businesses in
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing. So when we have a mold situation, I even try to find doctors that they can, if they're interested, like, hey, if you're feeling ill, you can go to these doctors, because what the doctors would do would basically take these reports and
Yep.
cross-reference our reports to see, hey, are you being affected by these
Exactly.
spores that you're breathing in? So it's
Exactly.
it's it's a it's a whole, like I said, it's a whole sphere, a whole ecosystem
Yeah.
of tradespeople, and
Mhm.
to me, I think that's the only way that you're able to really get it done. So I
Well,
can't
I
do it
have to say,
alone. So
no,
it takes
that's
a
true.
village.
And I'm glad you said that too. And that will be our I think the biggest lesson too, or one of the big lessons or takeaways. As an entrepreneur, you may start it up alone, but in the end, as you're going out there and getting clients, I really like the village or the
Hmm.
ecosystem that you said you
Hmm.
build. That's really important. So you're not alone, and you actually are able to build that community, which I think is crucial. Well, I want to say, Brad, to you, as we get ready to kind of wrap up, congratulations, because that is one heck of a story that I didn't know, by the way. You got to go around asking everybody's business, but that was one
Exactly.
heck of a story. And I know to come down here, say you're making it or breaking it in 30 days. But more importantly, I love what I love about it too is the fight I think that you had to make it happen, especially for your son, to make sure
Hmm.
you would take care of him. And I think sometimes as parents, and then you already kind of had that fight and initiative in you,
Hmm.
to begin with, to make sure you came down here and did what you had to do to not only build a career, build a life, and then build a company. So I just want to say
Yeah.
congratulations. They must be so proud
Thank
of
you.
you, your mom and your
I am.
son.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are. I'm proud of myself. I really have been able to. But this is why the chamber is important, though, just to add to
Mhm.
that ecosystem, because you guys have that, so many different professions that I could just reach into and say, hey,
Mhm.
I'm a part of the chamber. I'm looking for this person. Could you help us out? Or I have someone looking for your profession. And it just makes it easy. So it all works out. So
No,
it,
thank you for that.
thank you. Yeah.
That's what we try to do, make it a community. And really, I want folks to eventually, because they've worked together so much, it's like family.
Hmm.
And that's the whole
Yeah.
point. If we're not supporting each other, what are we doing?
Correct, correct.
What are we doing? So thank you again, Brad, for stopping
Thank
in
you.
on
Thank
Minute
you
with a
so
Member.
much.
Thank you for coming on.
All right, thank you. This was fun. I was a little bit nervous, but this was
See?
easy.
It wasn't
So I
that
look
bad.
forward to seeing the other members come on and just see um just everyone just in their stories, because you can't always meet people one to one,
Mhm.
that when you come to different events. But
Right.
this was a great thing, a great idea to be able to really get to know people
Yeah.
without even interacting with them. So when I do see someone, they're like, hey, I saw you on the Never Would Have Minute. You had a great story. So
Yeah, and you
good
get to know
deal.
a little something personal, so you can
Just
kind
a
of say,
little
"Hey,
bit.
I know this about you." That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. It's like, hey, you're from Memphis? Hey, I know I
Exactly.
am.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap. Thanks for coming
Okay,
on.
thank you so much. Thank you again. This was enjoyable. If you ever need anything else, let me know.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, I hope that you were as entertained, but not just entertained, but inspired as I was. That's why we do this show, because I think it's so important to understand the person behind the business, to understand the entrepreneur, the full person, and in their fullness, because that helps you understand their journey. And we can all take away tidbits from someone else's journey. We can all use inspiration from someone else's story. So until next time, make sure you're liking and you're subscribing and you're watching all the stories, the great local entrepreneurial stories that we have here for you on Minute with a Member. Until next time.